Thank you for staying with us. In every competition, there must be a winner. After much anxiety and hiccups, the Anambra State Governorship election has been concluded, and the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, ABGA, Professor Soludo, has emerged victorious. In his speech, after INEC declared him winner, Professor Soludo paid tribute to the 3 policemen killed when he was attacked in April 2021 and dedicated his victory to them. Meanwhile, let's share the verdict of Babajide and others on the election in one of our discussions. Some weeks to the election now, the coast is clear.
Yes, it's been laid to rest, and Professor Soludo is the candidate of ABGA. ABGA is the dominant party in the state. ABGA has always dominated the local elections in the state. But
Soludo is a candidate
the National Assembly elections are usually dominated by the PDP. With ABGA, Ojuku's party has always they still enjoy that sympathy.
Yes,
you know, no matter who is the
Anambra
candidate.
State.
You see the way there are many people who are not convinced that election will hold in that state because of the protracted violence that we are seeing. Significantly, Professor Soludo, even after the attack at Ihiala, the next day, he still held
another
rally to show you that he's just determined to, in spite of the problems, people moving to voting centers need to be protected. People are ready to vote in this election, but they need that protection. Because if they don't get this protection, they will sit inside their houses as it is being done on Mondays.
Whether we like it or we don't, the elections will hold, because when once INEC says okay, they deploy and they have people who are on ground to do the election, whether it's only one person that came out to vote. The thing people need is just the confidence. If they have confidence that their lives will be secured, they will come out and vote.
The dramatic defection of the deputy governor of Anambra State to APC.
Yeah.
I don't know how that will affect this the stock of ABGA, and it to be a kind of advantage to the APC, because I saw the pictures yesterday and I said, oh, some days to the election.
If Defections win elections, APC will not have lost the governorship election in Edo State. I've never seen where people defected like that.
All the governor's special advice.
His aides, they all left. At a point, I would say, this man has been turned to an orphan. You know?
He was the only one left.
At the end of the day, it amounted to nothing. It's not been seen in Anambra for more than 3 months. So he just came back and went straight to Aso Rock to defect.
And we went to go and make the top
defection. When you will win an election when the grassroots to begin to defect. You know? The ruling class, they can defect, but many times it doesn't affect the election, as we saw even with Edo State. You can see ABGA people even saying that his defection does not matter.
Despite the defections, because so many people defected to the All Progressive Congress.
Yeah.
And All Progressive Congress, they had 40-something thousand votes. And
thereabout.
Yeah. Distant third.
Yes. The fact of the matter is that Soludo was a popular choice. And we have seen a trend in the last couple of years where ABGA had dominated the political space in Anambra State. The political space in Anambra State. So it didn't really come as a surprise that Soludo turned out the winner. In fact, the stats are there for anyone to see. 112,000. If you add what APC polled and what PDP polled, it came to about a little over 90,000, and that is still below what Soludo polled, at the election. So he was a popular choice. The elections were, largely peaceful, transparent, credible, by the ratings of most, political watchers. So congratulations to him. His job is cut out. We hope that he seizes the moment, rolls up his sleeve, and go to work. The general feeling is that he's got the experience, he's got the competence, the capacity to deliver. Whether in terms of practical governance he's going to be able to deliver that is a different ballgame. When you take charge at the government house, politics, sets in, and you have to be sure that you understand what the game is all about. But the people of Anambra, are looking up to their new governor to, deliver on the promises that he had made, during the campaign period. The campaign is over. It's time to work. It didn't come as a surprise at all.
Some people want to ascribe this victory to the governor, that's Governor Obiano, saying that in spite of Soludo's qualification, in spite of his achievements for Governor Obiano to say, this is the person I want to succeed me, that in most places, you won't want somebody that's towards more than you in terms of standing and all qualification to succeed. You want somebody that is beneath you so that you can manipulate that and control that person.
Well, I wouldn't know what the governor thought about before picking Soludo. So I don't also want to think that it is the governor's decision alone. Yeah. I think the party will be much more involved in this, even though we know that governors are usually very powerful.
If you watch the run-up to the primary election, those people that even had to leave the party because they felt Soludo was the favorite candidate from the onset.
But that was a smart decision, really, by the governor. It's a smart decision because right from the beginning, when we saw the candidates vying for these positions, we said it here time and again that Soludo appeared to be probably the best man for the job. And we also saw all his travails, which we also alluded to, that it's like everybody, even his opponents, they are aware that he probably has the capacity and he probably towers above them, and hence all the problems he was facing. So really for Soludo, so much is expected of him, because people think that he should be able to do well. The governor made the right choice, and also the people around, we think he should be able to do well. We can see some of his qualifications, how many degrees? About 3
even talk about that
degrees. This is somebody who is a first class graduate and all of that. Now he should prove to us, you see, that it's not just about being a first class graduate, even though I give it to Soludo that he has proved his mettle in the past. As CBN governor, is the one that even started the
bank consolidation,
the recapitalization of banks, and we see where we are today.
Effected it.
Yes, he effected it, and we see where we are today with that policy. So really, I expect him to do very well. He's even also a member of the President Buhari's economic team, and which also shows that the confidence that is reposed in him as a person. And I strongly believe that he's not going to disappoint not just the people of Anambra State, but Nigerians in general who have so much confidence.
I've been reading comments on Facebook, on social media, saying that the likes of Kingsley Moghalu, Fela Jotoye, and Omole Sowore should look at what Soludo has done. Soludo lost election. He lost the last primary election. He was still in Anambra. He stuck to Anambra. He has been in Anambra for like 8 years now, watching and just staying and waiting for that position, playing the politics with them. That some people will need to go through the kind of school Soludo went to before climbing. That's not just, things don't just happen.
Yeah, those views, you know, that you just shared are not totally out of place. You know, what you see play out in the case of Soludo is first perseverance, okay, and a resolution. You know, having looked at the political environment, to say yes, I may have the qualification, I may have the competencies, but then I can start. I can start somewhere. I think that's a lesson for the likes of Fela, Showore, Mogala, and the rest of them. But again, it all depends on the individual. I mean, if you feel you are the best for a position and you want to aim for the presidency, nothing stops you. You go out there and fight, okay? So it boils down to what drives the individual. What's the goal for these other guys that you have mentioned? If they want to go for the presidency, it's well within their rights to go for the presidency. But for Soludo, I think that he was very strategic. He was very, you know, in his moves, you know, for the government house. You could also say that if we had our structures and our system running right, what are you looking for at the center? It's just because the system has been so structured to make you feel that the center is the best place. I mean, Abuja is the best place to be. Otherwise, the greatest impact that you can extend, that you can extend to your people, is to start at that level, to touch lives. If it's not about going to grab money and the rest of them, that is where to be. In fact, in most developed societies, you find that the most qualified people want to start at the lowest rung of governance. But and that's the lesson in it for all of us.
But actually, we said it on the show months before the election. We knew immediately he became a candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance. We said that he's the candidate to beat.
Yes, he was clearly the candidate to beat because he was the candidate of abduct. If Professor Soludo had contested on the platform of the APC or PDP, would have been roundly beaten. abduct is the party of the Anambrarians. abduct is already like a movement in Anambra. Since Peter Obi left abduct, he has found it difficult to win a single election. He was defeated in his local government, even as a governor that performed exceedingly. He was clearly one of the best governors of his generation. But the moment he moved out of abduct to the PDP, he was defeated in his local government. He couldn't deliver his local government for his candidate. So the choice that a candidate makes matters. When you are part of a group and you move out of that group to contest under the umbrella of another party, once you move out of that popular group, no matter how popular you are, you could be paying for it. And there are examples that one can cite. Remember Mahmuda Shinkafi as governor of Zamfara State. As a sitting governor, he left the party for the PDP and contested against Abdulaziz Yari. Abdulaziz Yari defeated him. They made him pay for stepping out of the family. He had to come back to the party and then contested again against Abdulaziz Yari, his in-law. But Abdulaziz Yari defeated him again. He didn't care about the fact that he was married to Mahmuda Shinkafi's daughter. So this is the way it is. Soludo was very calculative. He knew that that was the party that would victory to him. And we been since the beginning of the
At a point in time, he was in PDP.
Yes.
But according to what Jide is saying now, he calculated and he looked at the environment before finally settling for abduct, and he stuck to abduct, and it's as if...
we made that point earlier that abduct had been the dominant party in that state for almost more than 16 years or thereabout. I mean, you had Anobi, who was there for
No, you have Chinwoke Badindoju of the PDP. From 1999 to 2003.
Right.
So after 2003, Peter Obina won through ABGA.
And then you had
2003.
And you had Anubiano. Okay, who was in power for 8 years. So it's about what you could consider, a trend. I had said here earlier that he was very strategic about it. No doubt, ABGA had been the dominant party. I mean, how else do you put it? 19 out of 21 local government areas. How else can you define dominance? All right. So the spread was there for anyone to see. I think he just made the right choice. And the point we're making here also is that Soludo, even though he belongs to ABGA, should consider himself as the governor of the people of Anambra State, not the governor of ABGA. So we expect him to run an all-inclusive government. All right. He shouldn't be carried away by the fact that he had this small group of, political faithful or party faithful who had put him into power. He's going to realize now that his reign will be to deliver the dividends of democracy to the entire people of Anambra State, not just to the members of ABGA. Yes, they put him in power, but the expectation is that he has the entire state, to govern.
Busy, are you worried about the figure turned out? Because when you look at that statistics,
it is. To imagine that out of over 2 million people in the state, only about less than 200,000. Because if Soludo had 112,000 votes, PDP 51,000 or something, then APC 40-something thousand, then YDP, or what's the name of the other party?
Less than 250,000
Yeah, so we are talking about...
Check out the results.
Yeah. Now, less than 250,000 people actually decided the fate of the entire people of Anambra State. I think that figure is too low. And it says a lot about the way we practice our own, we practice democracy in this part of the country. In this part, talking about the southern part of the country. I mean, I heard recently that in the north, they usually have about 96% voters turnout. Yeah. But here, in the, we do our own voting and election via the social media. We talk and discuss about governance. And in fact, we behave as if we are the best in the world. We know the best, what the best governor should do, what the president should do, what somebody should do. Yet, when it comes to the time of going out to do the right thing, we stay back at home. Some of us, we play draft, we play Ludo.
Five aside.
Okay, and we take that time as holiday time to enjoy with our family. That's a serious issue that we need to address. I've never missed voting since I became an adult in Nigeria. I always make sure that I vote, so that at the end of the day, I won't blame myself for not doing the right thing. If I vote and the person I vote for does not win, fine. But let it be known that I did my own as I should. We need to talk to ourselves. We need to work on
what do you think is responsible for this trend? Because definitely if we take it to 2023, if this pattern follows us 2023, the same thing will still happen.
Perhaps a multiplicity of factors. In the case of Anambra, I mean, we all are aware of what happened in lead up to the election proper. Insecurity is key. You can't deny that. Some have
lost hope on the project.
Yeah, you can't deny that. And then, secondly, what was the level of mobilization on the part of the political parties? How much did they do? All right? I mean, we talked about an ABGA that seemed to be everywhere. How did the other political parties fare in terms of mobilizing the electorate, to go cast their votes, at the election proper? So it was a multiplicity of facts. The thought you could adduce, for being responsible for low voter turnout could be loss of confidence in the entire system. Okay, there's this popular saying that votes hardly count. So why would I want to go spend time, stay on the queue
No,
at the end of the day. But I mean, we've come to realize that the votes count nowadays, and that is why we must, do everything to perfect, our electoral processes. It was good to see, beavers at work. Now we know that if you go out there to exercise your franchise, there's a higher probability that your votes will count. I think that is going to shape the way or define the way Nigerians, turn up at subsequent elections. If INEC will play their part, in spite of all the, hiccups, that were witnessed in the process. It was good to see an election that a lot of people consider as transparent, as credible. And that's why some of us are a bit worried that some political parties who lost out in the election are considering going to court. Yes, it's well within their right to go to court and establish or interrogate the outcome of the elections. But it is clear to most observers that this election was, largely free, fair, and credible.
Ultimately, what will be your take home from the election?
Well, first of all, I'm so happy, really, that Anambra election held. And I really congratulate everyone involved in that election, because there was so much apprehension and fear. So again,
created by the social media.
Exactly. Anyway, so going forward, I think INEC did very well. The security operatives also did well. Even though I know that we may not be able to deploy over 34,000 policemen for other elections, especially if we are having a general election. True. But I think by and large they did well. And also the fear of partisanship, I think, was greatly removed, because a lot of people were thinking that the security people will work for one party or the other. That didn't happen. So going forward, I want to see more of this.
All right. Moving on now. The Nigerian Senate has approved electronic transmission of results as well as direct mode for party primaries, despite opposition from some quarters. The Senate says there's no going back, and the bill now awaits presidential assent. Sam, what is this all about?
Good news. Good news for everyone who has been expecting that our electoral processes and system will get more transparent, and then the integrity of our election exercise or elections conducted in this country will be rated quite high. That's the good news. That's the summary of it. It's been long in coming. We're all witnesses to, the horse trading that went on, both at the House of Reps and at the Senate. So it's good to see this unanimity of purpose. There is an agreement on the part of the House of Reps and the Senate to take this to the President for his assent. So we expect that, in spite of all the pressures that may come, because we hear there are some reservations being expressed by party officials or senior, especially the governors, regarding one element of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill that has to do with direct primaries and all that. So we expect some pressure to come on Mr. President regarding that aspect of it. But the one that deals with electronic transmission, everyone agrees that it's the best thing for us to implement as a country, so that the outcomes from our elections will be regarded as indeed very, very credible. So we hope that Mr. President will put his signature to it and not allow himself to come under the kind of pressure that we perceive will come his way.
4 years ago, we got to this stage.
Exactly.
And nothing came out of it.
Exactly.
Because it was frustrated.
Exactly. So it is not yet Uhuru, really. I mean, the most important thing is the President's assent to this bill. Because without his assent, it's all academic exercise. So I think it's time for the President to actually prove to everyone that what he told INEC is really committed to doing it. Because he said he was ready and prepared to provide INEC with everything that it will need to ensure that it organizes good elections. And he even said it to prove and to show that we are not interested in a third term. So, yeah, he said it, and he said that he was going to do everything possible. Now, INEC has said that they can do it. They can transmit election electronically. Now, the lawmakers have provided the bill for that to be done. So, I think it will be just let the president just sign this and sign it as fast as possible. Because if we get to this point and we still go back to where we are coming from, then people won't even take us seriously. So I think for now, the most important thing is for the president to just
put a signature to it.
Yes, put a signature to it and do it, and let it even be one of the fastest bills that any president ever signed into law in the history of Nigeria. That will put President Buhari, we will never forget him for doing that for us.
There seems to be like a controversy over the mode of primaries, and a lot of people are of the opinion, or some people are of the opinion, that the lawmakers would have left that to the discretion of the party involved. Like we used to know, some party adopted, you know, the direct mode, some adopted the indirect mode, and some will say consensus, that any of the three you can decide to choose, that should be at your own discretion. Why is the National Assembly now going to recommend the mode of party to primary election to the political parties?
Well, the politics, as I always say, is an interest-driven game. And in this situation, the lawmakers, especially those of the All Progressive Congress, considered their future, and they were looking for a law governing the nomination of candidates by political parties, which would ensure that their political futures were protected. Remember, the APC had its world congresses. During this period, many of the federal lawmakers were quarantined by their governors. Quarantined in inverted commas. Many of them couldn't vote. Their supporters couldn't vote. Governors see themselves like God with a small letter G, who can simply do what they like. Governors are interested, some governors are interested in seats in the Senate occupied currently by the present crop of lawmakers. So they had to come up with this idea so that everyone will be entitled to his vote. Because when you have indirect primaries, it puts power completely in the hands of the governors. That's not what they want to see. They know that if indirect primaries were to be used, they do not stand a chance. We all saw what happened to people like Shehu Sani back then. Governors froze out federal lawmakers that they were not on good terms with. And it has begun to happen now. You saw what happened to the former governor of Gombe State. How a governor that he brought to, somebody that he brought to power, somebody who used to be his commissioner, is now treating him like a filthy rag, to the point that even when he wanted to come into Gombe town for the wedding of his granddaughter, some thugs went to block him. So these federal lawmakers are already thinking about their future. And whichever way we look at it, direct primaries is the most participatory, is the most democratic of all the methods that anyone could come up with. Governors are merely being selfish by saying, oh, that is cumbersome, it will cost INEC so much money to organize and all that. We know that they are interested in kicking a lot of those federal lawmakers out of their offices. That is the reason they are keen on indirect primaries. But when you look at it further, the PDP members do not approve of this idea, but the majority will always have its way. So it's because the kind of problems that we saw during the congresses of the APC, the PDP members had not witnessed it. So the APC members, the National Assembly, were simply looking for a method that will secure their future, that will ensure that their future is not tied to the apron strings of governors who are behaving like Louis XVI, the great Louis XVI, in their respective states.
Yes, the indirect primaries, I've had to cover so many indirect primaries, and I discovered that, look, it's the game of the highest bidder.
Absolutely.
And as at that time, if you're a delegate, you are like a millionaire, because it got to a time in our history, each delegate started getting $10,000. This is not hearsay. As in, I don't want to start mentioning names.
I can relate.
Delegates that is just in one ward, one village, will just come up and do just $10,000 per delegate, $10,000, $5,000 per annum. It was mine.
Yeah, and when you spoke about the highest bidder, and I'm wondering who the highest bidders are. I mean, we already have it mentioned here. I said governors. Jide just corroborated that. We know that these guys are lords in the states. They practically have the coffers of the state in their pockets. And then what does it take? The delegates? You talk about $10,000. I mean, you think that what happened in Anambra State happened because those guys were completely altruistic about their decisions? The lawmakers who defected to APC, you think they did because they so love the state? I mean, we don't want to begin to mention figures here, but the truth of the matter is that some, if not all of them, had their pockets lined up with money.
They cleaned out
a lot of money. So I agree that the direct mode gives everyone a chance. For party faithful, some of us who are not card carry members of any political party, we can only speak on the outside. But what you see in terms of opportunities is that it gives those party members the chance to have a say in who emerges as their leaders, either at the wards or at the local government level or at the state level. And I think that what counts. I reckon that this is going to remain in a matter of national discourse, and that's why this apprehension is being expressed, that the president could come under intense pressure by these helmsmen, who oftentimes want to determine who sits right up there.
Is it? Direct, indirect.
Well, I think this is the best. It is not only transparent, it's going to strengthen these political parties and ensure that the most popular candidates emerge. Now, we've said everything about these governors. They are the godfathers. They are the mini gods. If we look at almost every state in Nigeria today, we can see how powerful these governors are. And of course, we don't have to mention names. You know that once they target any candidate, that candidate is going to be the person that must emerge. Meanwhile, with direct primaries now, members of a party can now fund their parties by themselves. We should be talking about ensuring that political party members make personal contributions to fund their parties, because why are these governors powerful? They are powerful because they are the ones funding the political parties. Yes. So now I think we should also encourage parties to be funded by their members.
All right, and finally, bandits continue to wreak havoc in Nigeria with more daring attacks across the northwest. In Zamfara state, bandits killed 7 mobile police officers during an ambush on a patrol team of security agents on the Magami-Gusau road. In Kaduna state, 13 employees of Zaria local government were abducted while traveling in a bus from Zaria to Giwa. How much longer would this continue? Babajide?
It's particularly perplexing that at a time when we thought that we had launched a very big military campaign against these bandits, at a time when we came up with some tough measures against them, including the withdrawal of telco services to certain communities, these bandits are growing more and more notorious. It just says one thing, that our methods are not working. Our strategies meant to contain them are not working. The military campaign is not delivering the right results, because across the 3 states where banditry is most rampant in our country, that's talking about Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina, we've been receiving negative reports, terrible reports, in the last few days. Look at Zaria. 13 local government workers were abducted on the highway. Look at Basari local government in Katsina state. They were moving from house to house, killing people, looting people's property. And then the very painful one, the attack on those policemen in along the Magami Gusau Dansadao highway. There is a 50-meter radius along that Gusau road that has been notorious for quite some time for attacks by bandits. Now the presence of policemen, the presence of their checkpoint on that road had helped to put these guys in check, because before now dozens of people had been kidnapped along that Magami Gusau Dansadao road. But what did we see? They had finished their work for the day and they were going back home when these guys ambushed them and killed 7 of them. I've seen the video of those policemen and I'm full of sympathy and regrets that this sort of thing could be happening. There's another attack in Taraba State in which bandits were killing housewives in revenge for an attack on their position. So how much longer are we going to put up with the nonsense that is going on in our country? We thought that the measures taken by the Kaduna state government and other states will help us at least put these guys in check, but that's not what is happening. Worshippers, more than 60 of them, were abducted in Kaduna state. How are bandits able to kidnap that huge number of people and get away with it? So it's so terrible. I just hope that things won't get even worse. We've got to find a solution to this problem. Otherwise, the implications will be really dire for our country.
Tom, talking about the activities of these bandits, me too, I expressed the same optimism when the air campaign started.
We all did.
And just to know that it's like they are multiplying.
Yeah, the implication is that we have more work to do. It could be said that the government is doing something, But whatever it is that government is doing, certainly is not the best. If it were the best, we probably would have had better security environment for Nigerians to operate in. So we have a crisis on our hands. Each time we come here, we've got to talk about security. The last time I was here, we talked about security, about insecurity in the country. There is a lot of work to be done, and the buck stops on the table of Mr. President. Yes, you could say the states also have a role to play. I would agree to some extent, but the buck stops at the table of the man whose responsibility it is to guarantee security of lives and property. Something has to be done very quickly. There is a lot of work to be done. And unless we get it right, we'll continue to sink. In those areas that we have talked about, the economies of those states will continue to sink because there is so much insecurity that businesses cannot thrive. And sometimes you just wonder, Ayo, if everyone in those environments, if most people in that environment have not taken to crime, it just makes you feel that everyone walking the street is a bandit.
Men looking at their pictures, looking at the young ones, looking at the way they are, you will know that, look, it's like a gospel that is spreading fast. It's like the in thing. So the number of people that are recruited and made bandits now.
I have always said it, and I will continue to say it. We need to address the foundational problem of banditry. We have been treating the symptoms. And obviously, our treatment is not even working. Babajide has painted a very vivid description of what is happening. So sad. It's so sad. You can't even imagine it. A lot of people outside the country don't even know how Nigerians are managing to survive with the kind of insecurity reports that they have. However, the problem for me is that if we don't attack the foundational problem, which is ensuring that this army of youths in these places, number one, they should go to school. They should go to school. If you look at these areas, it is the same Zamfara, for example, where you don't need more than 3 points to get admission into a unity school. Why? Because you won't find the person that has more than 3 points. Do you get it? So it means these governors, they should, at least it is not the responsibility of the federal government to provide education. It is the responsibility of the state government, the local government, even though education is on the concurrent list. But they have to do more in providing that education. Let them do something about it. At least let us know that we'll be dealing with the ones that we have produced, that we will not be producing fresh army of bandits. Because the way it is now, they won't stop there. 2 days ago, I read a report that some gunmen attacked one Ogun State community. Because by the time they kill them, finish there, they will come to other places. Yes, we need to do something. We need to address the problem, and we need to arrest the problem as quick as possible.
Yesterday, a retired general was said to be killed in Kaduna. Can you just give us where?
Yes, retired generals, serving generals, they are just as endangered as you and I in Kaduna State. I've spoken about this before. Serving soldiers, serving generals are even reluctant to travel on the Kaduna-Abuja highway. Most of them use the train. They will now send their convoys to the train station to come and pick them and take them home. Kaduna has become extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. A lot of these generals have farms, but it's dangerous now to even go to their farms because you could be attacked anytime. You could be attacked anytime. So, and we've had cases of even serving soldiers being kidnapped by these guys and being made to pay ransom. Because if you don't pay ransom, you won't even know where they've kept them, and the soldier could die in their hands. So everyone is unsafe. Everyone is unsafe. That someone is a retired general does not mean that his position is better than the rest of us. Retired generals, how many soldiers do they give them who protect them? In some cases, just one, sometimes two. And we know that these guys, they have the firepower to even overwhelm maybe a dozen soldiers, depending on how prepared they are. If they come with GPMG, with rocket propelled grenades, and the soldiers are carrying just AK-47, of course they will be overwhelmed. So this is the situation. No one is safe. We must make better efforts to protect our people. People can't go to their churches the way they want. People will stay in their mosque and get killed. You saw what happened in Niger State. People were slaughtered inside the mosque by people who are not, they are neither Christians nor Muslims. They are animists, largely animists. They don't believe in God. So we've got to protect ourselves better. I heard the Minister of Defense saying that the biggest problem we face is not Boko Haram or bandits, but looming hunger. But it's the activities of the bandits that is certain to inflict hunger on our nation, unless we defeat them, because people can't access their farms freely. And in some cases, look at what happened in Sokoto. Farmers, Turuji, the bandit leader, has now appointed district heads for a local government in Sokoto State. In Sabobrini local government, he's appointing district heads. He's telling communities that they have to pay as much as 300,000 per community as tax. In our country, if we say Boko Haram no longer occupies some territories, but how about bandits now? Bandits are occupying territories in Sokoto State now. Why will all that nonsense end?
Sir, Julie has painted a very...
Our people are going through a lot, and I appeal to the government to do its best.
And these things seem to be festering.
Yeah, I resisted, the attempt initially, to repeat what I had said on this forum severally, that if you go by the classical definition of failed states, some states in the northwest and the northeast qualify to be listed among failed states. All the signs are clear. Check the indices. When bandits begin to, when bandits begin to tax, citizens, and government can do nothing about it. When they begin to take territories and government cannot do anything about it, all right? They bring down your warplanes, government cannot do anything about it. How else do you define a failed state? I mean, it's just that sometimes we don't want to put out very terrible, images of our country, okay? But we can no longer pamper this issue. We can no longer pamper this issue. It's a very serious problem.
My final take, I don't know, because it's like we are begging bandits. I don't even know. It's so pathetic. It's so sad. I just want the security operatives to up their game. I don't know, they will have their own challenges, I know. But in spite, they should work at it. I know that there are problems, but then they should just work at it and let's get some positive results, because that is what we all need now, really.
I want to thank you, Sam. Thank you for your contribution. And Olabisi Dejifodutule, thank you for your contribution. Okay. And the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. BKO, when are you coming back? Thank you for your contribution to the BKO.